Hello, friends. Welcome to Level Up with Debbie Neal. I am your host. There is nowhere I would rather be than right here, right now with you. This podcast is all about leveling up in all aspects of our lives. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful. I'm excited to be on this journey with you. Together, we are leveling up. You ready? Hello, everybody. Welcome, my Level Up friends and family. You guys, I am really excited for today's episode. I'm very grateful for today's episode. This episode is going to be dropping on Veterans Day. And so I am a diehard American. I love everything I'm so patriotic. I am living in the land of the free because of the land of the brave. And so when I think about veterans, first of all, I think about my dad. My dad is a veteran and he is my hero. I am 52 years old and he is the man that I have looked up to my entire life. And when you think about veterans, veterans are the living embodiment of honor, of sacrifice, and courage. And veterans have stepped forward in times of need, facing unimaginable challenges to protect the freedom that we cherish. And I'll be honest, a lot of us take that freedom for granted. We don't even realize the sacrifices that were made so we can live the life that we live today. And so when you think about veterans, their strength lies not only in their bravery, but in the commitment to a cause greater than themselves, which is something in life that I'm just a stand for. Veterans remind us that true service is rooted in love for country and fellow citizens. And they inspire us to live with gratitude, to live with resilience, to live with purpose, knowing that our freedoms have been hard earned by their sacrifices. And so today, I'm very excited. I have a guest on here today, and his name is Lonnie Sherman. And he came to me through my father, and my father called me up and said, "Hey, I've been doing some work with this amazing man, and he is doing amazing things for veterans. And I'd like to talk to you to see how we can help him or help get this message out there." And I talked to my dad for a bit. I'm like, wow, this sounds really amazing. Like, I would love to have this man on my show. And yesterday I text Lonnie and I said, would you be available just to have a short conversation? And if you guys know me, and you know me because we've been listening, you're a listener of mine. I like to talk off the cuff. I talk from my heart. Really nothing is planned most of the time. There's a topic there. But after a very short conversation, he had me speechless. And if you guys know me, not a lot leaves me speechless. So this is a man who is committed to making a difference. And we talk about this all the time. Belief has a sound. Passion is powerful. So I was on the phone with him for 5 minutes. I'm like, I believe in what he's doing. Like, I believe him. And so Lonnie's a friend of my dad's, and my dad had nothing but amazing things to say about Lonnie. And let me tell you something. You guys don't know my dad, but he's a man of very little words. He's a man of very little words. And so for him to speak so highly of Lonnie, this is a man that I absolutely needed to know. So a little bit about Lonnie, and I'm going to turn it over to him because I'm so excited for him to share what he shared with me yesterday. So he's been in sales, and I love that. Like, in my profession, I remember when I was introduced to my business, I'm like, I can't sell. I've never sold a thing in my life. We all sell every single day. So this man has been top in his profession, and we hear that we can't sell. We all sell. So Lonnie has been able to put his skill set to finding ways to help our veteran community. And so as you hear from this incredible man today, this is what I want you to think about as a Level Up with Debbie Neal listener. This is a regular man. No offense, Lonnie, but you're a regular man, okay? He's your neighbor. He's your friend. Every single one of us were born ordinary with extraordinary potential, but we're born ordinary. And we make a deliberate and we make a bold decision in life to become extraordinary. And when we step into our greatness, it becomes more than us. That is how we make a difference in the world and the difference in the lives of other people. And I want you to be reminded as you listen today that you have that power, that you have that potential. And I want you to remind yourself that you've got seeds of greatness. And how can those seeds of greatness come? So you can share your gifts with the world. So with that said, Lonnie, thank you for being here. I'd love to turn it over to you and share a little bit about your story. And then we're just going to go back and forth and we're going to have some powerful fun together today.
Thanks, Debbie. Debbie and I are basically going to be lifelong friends after yesterday's meeting. And following you, it's an honor to be on this show. The one thing I will reverse a little bit, it's not going to be about helping general needs. And boy, do I need help with general needs. We need help to help our veterans. It's about letting everybody that's on this podcast know that they can do this. They can be those leaders. They can take that idea, whether it's bringing lunch to somebody, a neighbor who's elderly that needs somebody to show up and do a check. We can all do something as leaders and make a difference. We don't have to always follow. And I'm thinking a little bit, that's what this is all about. How do we make this difference? I started general needs years and years ago when I just saw this, and it just didn't add up in my own head that the men and women that have signed over everything with their lives to defend this country. And Debbie, boy, thank you. I'm that patriotic person as well. With all the faults and all the issues we have going on in our country today, and always have, I still feel we're the greatest country that's ever existed in the world. Because we do so much good. The world looks to us to do good. Isn't that kind of neat? We're the leaders of the world of doing good. So that's really kind of awesome. But how do we make these differences together? Where do we go? Where do we find our passion? Where do we find our goals? And that's what I really want to spend some time today talking to you about. Whether it's helping that child with that childhood disease that we need to fix a hole in our heart, or whether coming up with a better cure for helping somebody with all the different multitudes of cancers that are out there and so many other issues. I'm leaving everything on the table. Mental illness is something we're all afraid to talk about all the time, but it's just like anything else. And part of the main reasons that general needs exist, or what we do for helping our veterans, is mental illness, coming on by something that they've seen or done, PTSD. Really funny, post-traumatic stress disorder. We all know that term today. You know what the first terminology for that was? It started in actually Roman times and was called homesickness. From the Roman gladiators came back, or the soldiers came back from war with all the swords and all the things we see on TV all the time. They had a hard time relating with family and friends and people they knew at home. So it wasn't like homesickness, little Bobby or Susan's going to college. It was, okay, you're home. What's going on? And back in World War II, we called it shell shock, and we've had all this terminology for that. But it simply is, it's not natural to do things that happen in war. There's things that trigger anxieties and depressions that we need to try to help. And we take a very simple approach. The first thing that I learned, and I learned a story, and I talked to Debbie about it a little bit yesterday, and we didn't want to get off the phone. What are the simple things in life to make a difference? Is it having that new package of underwear that you have as a security blanket that we all had? If you close your eyes and you think for a minute, you think about the Christmas gift or the gift you got during a birthday, and somebody's grandmother or mom or aunt gave them underwear, and you didn't know you weren't happy because you wanted a new truck or a new Barbie doll. But what that underwear meant to being in your drawers, just a little bit of a security blanket. Imagine not having that. Imagine not having that security blanket and needing to heal, needing to go for treatment. Imagine a young lady who's in a shelter and she's really, really hurt and she's going through a really hard time. And imagine she doesn't have a bra for security of having that bra. So it's not major things. People always feel, okay, we have to do this and we're going to spend $5 million on research. I think they just did a research program in a major city where they spent $1 million determining if they needed to improve the garbage cans. Let's just get a garbage can. So really that's what we want to achieve together. How do we make these differences? And learning how to listen. And Debbie, you're a great listener because you're hearing the needs, you're hearing the goals, you're hearing How do we help your audience? How do we help the people listening today? And how do they make a difference? It's out there. It's all right in front of us. We see the need. We see our passions. Let's just not be afraid to do something about it. Sales. We're all in sales. When you're trying to get your children to eat the broccoli on the table, okay, when you're meeting your spouse at the same time, or your partner at the same time, we're selling ourselves. We all sell all the time. So it's not conning somebody into something. It's really helping them make the decisions that are best for all of us. And I'm really proud. This took a long time. I'm now 63 years old. And it took a long time to say, hey, I sell. Yeah, we do. We help people make decisions every day, and that's a sale. We're excited to talk more. There's such a need in this community, basic needs. Just listening, and I was with Deborah's dad the other day, and we listened to a very passionate veteran, Marine, who I would consider Rambo. And what an amazing man. And he said, boy, I have a passion. I want to see if we can help do automobile repairs for veterans. Because if you don't have a car, especially when you live in a suburb, you're not able to go to work. If you're not able to go to work, you might get fired. And if you're going to get fired, you might end up becoming homeless. So how do we stop that by the process of, hey, if somebody needs a repair of an alternator or something that helps the car run, how do we make that happen? And I've been literally thinking about it 24/7 for the past week. Since Deb's dad and I heard this, and we started taking different approaches. And I think we need to do this from the top down. I think we need to go to the most successful people, the people that run the car dealerships, the people that run the automobile manufacturers, and say, hey, why are we not funding this? Why are we not making sure that this veteran has an alternator? As opposed to everybody's thinking all the time, let's just go to the local repairman and see if he can do that. Let's go to the local repair shop. They probably have a much harder time doing that than the people running the major organizations. So the wheels are turning. I think we need to talk about that one and come up with a whole new project.
And you know what I'd love for you to share before we even dive further into this? Like, who is Lonnie and how did you get so passionate and be doing the work you're doing? Because so often people think, well, I don't have those qualifications, or, that can't be me, or they're waiting for somebody else to step up. Like, was this something that you did for a living? What did you do for a living? And what brought you here today?
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that. I had no qualifications for this. I had nothing, no preconception. I did know, and I learned this from my mom, that I always had to give back. And I've always gotten involved with some kind of charity, foundation, or something. And they've always been wonderful. I'm in the financial industry. I worked with financial firms in New York City. And I was just like all of us going to a trade show. I was actually supporting my team that was at a trade show at the Javits Center in New York City. And a dentist came up to me, actually happens to be local to me, out here on Long Island. And he says, I want all the stuff on your table. I'm like, what do you mean you want all the stuff on my table? He says, I go feed homeless, just like this. I go feed homeless veterans at the Northport VA. They're staying at the Salvation Army unit, and there's 45 vets there. I want to make sure I can give them something else besides dinner that we're preparing every single month at the local Knights of Columbus. And I said, first of all, my car's here. I'll take everything home, and I'll make sure you get this. Because I did not know this existed. It was not on my radar. Isn't it the most ridiculous thing in the world that in our country we can put two things together, homelessness and veteran, in the same sentence? Makes no sense. Veterans make up a very small percentage of our population. It's been told to me it's about 5 or 6%, but it's been told to me it's up to 25% of the homelessness population. That's insane. So I saw it, and I joined Dr. Ray, and I helped him serve dinner 1 month after 1 month after 1 month. And I'm not wonderful at that. It's definitely not a skill set of mine. Cleaning trays and doing that, I can do it. But I sat and I listened. I spoke to the men and women that were there at the time. They were younger, just recently back from Iran and Afghanistan, going through horrific times. You fell in love with every one of them. My wife was sitting me at a dinner one night, and we met a young man, handsome as anything. He was 23 years old, and he came back from Afghanistan. His mom told him he can't come home anymore because she's got a new boyfriend. So Susan wanted to take him. We wanted to take him home, but we know we can't do that because there's thousands. So I continue to listen. I continue to see where the needs are. And every single one of them came up to me and said, we don't have underwear. We don't have underwear. People donate their old jeans, their old jackets, their old sweaters. And they might not even, you might have only worn them once or twice, but nobody donates their old underwear. And we just started buying it. My wife and I started going to our friends and family. I knocked on doors on business associates. I said, hey, Bob, let's go walk across the street to Marshall's. Let's go walk across the street to Target or Walmart. I need you to buy some underwear for me because I need to give it to vets. Literally just asked. And people said, wait, are you telling me there's vets and shelters that don't have underwear? Let's go now. And we started putting packages together with brand new underwear, socks, and T-shirts. If we look at the General Needs logo, which is on my shirt, it's brand new underwear, socks, and T-shirts. This is audio, so at some point we'll snip that in. It's the most important thing. It's the basics of what we do. And we've grown from there. We listened. And I was told that vets needed shoes because it's cold out and they were walking around with flip-flops. I'm like, why is that a reality? And we got boots through other organizations like Rotary and Kiwanis and different organizations that have been supportive to us. And a Rotarian friend of mine went to Costco with me. We brought 50 pair of boots and we brought them up to that Northport VA. You want to know something amazing that I never thought about? Those 50 pair of boots got 5-6 of those veterans their jobs because they had a pair of boots. So we listened. Okay, now I got to go to the job, and it's now December. That was November. But it's really cold out. I need a coat. So we started making sure coats are important. Listening's it's something we don't do. One of the sales lessons I learned early on is you have 2 ears and you got 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk. That's hard for me now because I'm yapping so much. I apologize for that. And yada, 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 and all those Seinfeld terms. But if you listen to yourself, you listen to your heart, you don't ignore things. We seem to step over. A lot of us have been in major cities and we see somebody that's homeless. What do? You kind of step across the street. I never did that. Maybe it's who I am and where I came from. If I had $1 or $2 in my pocket, or I had a bag of chips or a bagel hanging in a bag, I would hand that out. And then I get to listen. And that's really where we are at this point.
When you think of a successful brand that sells online, like Skims, Bombas Socks, Gymshark, you think of their amazing product or their social media. But what is often overlooked is the business behind that business that makes selling for customers online simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify because it is home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Bombas uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/levelup, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/levelup to upgrade your selling today. God is really good. And you know what's really amazing to me? It almost sounds like ignorant, and I don't feel like I'm ignorant, but I think we are all ignorant from time to time. We're talking about veterans. We're talking about men and women that sign their life over and they're willing to die for our freedom. Okay. And here's the thing. I talk about freedom all the time, and freedom there's so many things that require freedom, but freedom isn't free. Living a life of freedom isn't free. Freedom for our country isn't free. We are forever in debt to our veterans. And we're not talking about veterans looking to live in the lap of luxury. We're not looking for veterans that are going to retire on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills somewhere or go live in Palm Beach. We're talking right now, my friends, with veterans that are homeless, need underwear, need socks, and some of the things you told me yesterday, which I'd really like you to expand on, because I want veterans to understand. I want our listeners to understand what veterans do. But we talked about suicide yesterday. We talked about women veterans yesterday. And as much as my conversation with you was very inspiring, because I'm so inspired by what you're doing. I'm inspired by leaders in this world. I love to surround myself with people that are making a difference, because who we surround ourselves, you are a sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. You hang around with people making a difference, you're going to be the 6th. You hang around with 5 people complaining and they're victims, you're going to be the 6th. Okay. So you're a sum of the people you hang around with. So I was very inspired by the conversation, but I'd love for people to really understand, because it's mind blowing, really mind blowing.
So we're doing an amazing project this year. It's called 2024, and we're going to get into numbers a little bit. But I think everybody on this on your podcast is probably really good with math. It's inspiring to say what I talk about, but sometimes it's hard to hear, and that's been something that it's always been a difficult process for me. The last 3 months of this year, October, November, and December, 2,024 veterans will die by suicide. The last 3 months of this year, 2,024 veterans will die by suicide. That's using a very standard number of 22 vets a day will pass away by suicide, and times it by the 92 days. And somehow, and we talked about God for a minute. I don't need to make this religious or anything. My wife and I were determining, okay, how many would we need to cover for the amount of suicide in the last 3 months of the year? And this is 2024. And we did the math, it was 2024. So sometime there was some kind of it's weird to say it, almost. My wife and I looked at each other and we're like, whoa. It had to be divine intervention that we looked at this, and we need to shout this on the polls and say, that's a ridiculous number. We've been so inspired by vets that I've met later on in their career, and I can't write this down, I can't prove this, that have not committed suicide, because we've simply been there with a pair of underwear. We've simply been there and said, thank you, you're my hero. It's really simple processes with anything you do. And I'm taking it away from general needs. I'm taking it away from us. There's every organization helping veterans out there is doing tremendous work. Every organization can make a difference in the world. Find your passion. Find something that, it's almost like a lightning bolt that general needs came to me. We say, where did we get this? I don't know where. Everybody told me not to do this. We go liberal and conservatives. Both liberals and conservatives had a reason for me not to do general needs. Veterans groups had a reason for me not to do general needs. And I'm going ahead of myself by saying general needs. For years, I was the underwear man. I was Captain Underpants. So we had to come up with some kind of name that kind of fit. But everybody told me not to do this. Like everybody's told everybody on this call, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Take the job, get the 9 to 5, do what you need to do. You get a paycheck. You walk into the business or store or whatever it is, and you'll get that. And everybody tells you when you try something that's going to be difficult, don't do it. The ones who succeed are the ones that don't listen to that. You talk to me about salesmen and why I'm okay with it, because I'm okay with the word no. When I know I hear no, I said that twice, sorry for the don't. When I hear no, I'm one step closer to a yes. So let's take that. People will tell you, what a crazy idea. Why are you doing that? Why are you raising money or having a walk to get awareness to juvenile diabetes? Why are you doing that? Couldn't you just write a check and spend less time doing something? Yeah, but are you going to make that difference? Why are you doing this event? Yeah, but are you going to make that difference? It's not easy. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And you got to understand, guys, I started as almost a door-to-door life insurance salesman. Okay, 1984, I was working for John Hancock Insurance, and my manager had drinking issues, and I didn't know what to do. He says, let's go knock on doors. And I was just dumb enough to do that. And I met an Irish family, and I'm in there with a book, and all the book had the rates of the insurance, and I didn't even know how to open the book. They said, come on in, son, we'll help you do this, and we'll buy insurance. So you will get the yeses, but this is the hardest thing. Is everybody told me no. And we can do an hour and a half on all the no's I got from why. But when you meet that young man whose mom told him, don't come home, I have a new boyfriend. Or you meet the young lady who was sitting in a corner of a shelter and she was a bigger girl and nobody was supporting her and had no bra. How do I walk away from that? We're working with a veteran now who's 85-year-old Vietnam vet. Lives in Long Island. Had no plumbing for 2 years. Lives with his 55-year-old mentally disabled daughter, who we believe hasn't left the house in 10 years. They had no heat. They had black mold that was so bad, and we don't do this. We've never taken on a project like this, But the neighbor, who's this awesome man, got through to Susan, my wife, and we made another call. And one of our members went over to see the house. And we both saw it so horrific. Within a day, I had people removing the mold with a mold remediation team in there for 3 days. We had somebody install a toilet within 24 hours. Imagine, excuse the expression, pooping in a box for 2 years until the box got filled, then they would throw the box away. Every organization, all the big veteran organizations out here in Long Island turned them down. Well, we need to see 2 years of your tax returns and financials. He hasn't filed a tax return in years. How do we walk away from that? That's what we're about. We know our passion. We know what we can do, but don't walk away when you see something. Kind of like when you're on the beach and you see a wrapper on the floor, pick up that wrapper. How good will you feel at the end of the day? Let's stop walking away from things. And I think one of the things that I'll say negative about our country and the world is we turn our back on things too many times. We turn on our back on ourselves that we can become the leaders that we need to be. And okay, I'm going to fall into that box. I'm going to fall into that, that checkerboard that I'm supposed to be on. I'm going to have that 9-to-5 job, and I'm going to come home at 5 o'clock at night. I'm going to have my beer, and we're going to have dinner, and then I'm going to, watch TV, and I'm going to go to sleep and go back. But that's fine. Like the Seinfeld line is probably not there's anything wrong with that. We can be that. But if you want to be somebody else, truly in your own gut, you can be that person on whatever it is.
I'm not afraid to hear the word no. I'm not afraid to hear the word no. One of the things I talk about all the time, my fear is not hearing the word no. My fear is somebody looking at me and saying, why didn't you really let me know how big this could be? Why did we hold back because we fear rejection? And we live in this thing that we think is our comfort zone, and it's not a comfort zone. Every single thing in life is an exchange. Growing is painful. Stepping out of your comfort zone is painful, but staying where you are and living the life that you're not meant to live and also not make a difference in the lives of other people is also painful. And so what we do for a living doesn't define us. What I do doesn't define me. What Lonnie does for a profession didn't define him. Our income doesn't define us, but here's what does define us: what we do with our time, what we do with our resources, what we do with our gifts, how we treat people. That defines us. So for me, what I do for a living, it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle. Like, I love my company. I love my products. I love my industry, but it's a vehicle. Those of you who know me, you know my passion and my purpose. My purpose is to get into as many hearts as I possibly can to remind you of your greatness so you can live your God-given potential. But when we stay in our comfort zone, we lose the ability to be more. But when we become more, we do more. And then when we do more, we inspire others to do the same. One person can make a difference. But when you grow as a leader and you can move thousands of people to also make the world a better place, that's when you create impact, and that's when you create a legacy. It's regular people who decide to be extraordinary and step up. And so Lonnie is absolutely one of those people. And so we can talk forever, and Lonnie will be back on my podcast. But here's what I'm going to ask you, friends. Today is Veterans Day. Okay. So I want to ask you, Lonnie, how can we give back? How can we make a difference? How can nobody should poop in a box. Nobody should be living in a home with black mold. Nobody should be sitting in the corner of a shelter without a bra. Nobody should feel worthless and unappreciated to the point that they take their own life. So, nobody in general, but certainly not the people who have signed their life away to fight for us. And so every single one of you can do something. And so often we think, what is the difference that I'm going to make? It's all of those little differences collectively that are going. You guys know we were on that mission to raise 11 million, to raise money for 11 million meals, and that goal is going to be crushed. And so together, these things could really make a big difference. So Lonnie, how can we make a difference on today, Veterans Day?
So I'm proud of the organization. I'm not going to self-promote or do any of that kind of stuff, but I'm really proud of what we've been able to do, because that person's not pooping in a box. That woman's not in a corner anymore without a bra. That veteran didn't leave a shelter and get into an apartment that doesn't have a bed, because we did that. We need to do that more. I think the hardest thing for Susan and I is to say no, because we don't have the resources to do, because everybody's coming to us. And I don't know how it happened. We're helping with veterans get teeth because they don't have dental benefits, which is shocking. We need money to do things what we do. Our financials are fantastic, and we do a great job. So it's generalneeds.org is our website. It's working now, but it's going to be refreshed soon. One of the things we need to work on is meeting. Our social media is terrible, and we need those people that are much better in social media than us older guys and women that's supporting us. We need to help. If somebody, I think back to I spoke at a high school, and one of the girls at the high school went home and told her mom that we needed underwear, and her mom worked for Calvin Klein, and we got a truckload of Calvin Klein underwear. That each pair of underwear was $39, and I brought those into the VAs when we had those, and the guys opened up. They never had anything like that in their life, and just from a conversation like we're doing right now on this podcast. Maybe there's somebody out there on this podcast who works with a automobile manufacturer who wants to say, hey, we want to set up something with you. Let's set up a foundation that no veteran should have to not go to work because their alternator is broken or whatever is going on in the car. And let's talk and make that happen together. Maybe somebody's out there on this call today that says, hey, you'll never have to buy underwear again because we work for whatever, Hanes or whatever the brand is, that we can make that difference. Or whatever, maybe somebody's on this call tonight that says, okay, this guy's not I don't know, whatever I am, they seem real. And let's make a donation that we can put money in their bank account that when they get that call, they can actually, we're actually getting heat in that gentleman's house this weekend. We've been working on that for weeks, but I kept trying to get the best deal to make it happen. I'd like to be able to just say, okay, call XYZ Plumbing Company and we're going to get heat. You'll have it next Tuesday. That is what makes a difference to us. So General Needs has been an awesome organization. We're making a great difference. Well, I'm not the underwear man. I'm not just the underwear man anymore. How do we do that together? So it's generalneeds.org. Also go on, I don't know all the social media things, but we're on Facebook. It's General Needs LTD. You'll see us out there. You'll see me loading trucks. We just loaded a truck with the Suffolk County Police Department yesterday that will be handing out 200 coats and 200 pair of boots to vets in Riverhead tomorrow. It's going to be awesome to do that. So reach out to us. But beyond that, let's keep talking. You guys are going to, and I just know something in my heart, you guys are going to see me and Debbie a lot more. And we're going to see if we can make some differences with making that 11 million meals, 20 million meals, and making sure that somebody's not hungry, or making sure a girl who needs to get a 5-year-old who needs to get her heart healed is going to cure that heart together. We'll work with these organizations, making a difference. She doesn't know this yet, but we're going to be working on a lot of these projects together. And I never say that. So love you guys. Thanks for having me on. You'll probably hopefully edit about 90% of the silly things I said today. But this was awesome.
This was really, really great. And so you guys, I'm going to put the contacts that Lonnie just mentioned will be in the show notes. Every single bit counts. One of the things, Lonnie, I don't know if you just said now, but you were talking about something that you had a need for. And I'm like, talk about it tomorrow. I feel like you said a project. Did you say a project manager? Did you say something else yesterday?
Yeah, we need, so here again, thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie, for doing this. Nobody knows who we are. So nobody in this call knows us, but everybody knows us who needs our help. The VA calls me. The Red Cross calls us for help. I'm like, wait, you're the Red Cross and you're calling this, I don't know you're calling this schmucky guy from Long Island to help you. So we need people to help find out who General Needs is. We need to shout it on the pole and say, hey, that veteran should not have to poop in a box. That woman shouldn't have to be in a corner. And difficult for us all these years is I never take photos. when we go into a shelter, we never take photos of the men and women that we help. So we take pictures of us. We'll take a picture of the veteran from behind as we're handing him a pair of sneakers. But like a lot of other organizations who basically show the cause and they show it on TV and they do commercials, we don't do that. So we're thinking of maybe creating a comic book superstar hero, maybe making a comic book of the veteran who went to fight for our country and now has fallen on hard times and who that person is. We're trying to talk to some people about producing content like that for us. We're learning, and I'm going to learn a lot from you guys because I don't know any of this stuff. I just know how to hand out underwear. So that's my skill set.
And there's a lot of people listening that have a lot of skills, a lot of different skills. And I know together we can make such a big difference. And so this podcast is being dropped on Veterans Day. It's being dropped on a day that we remember the veterans. We remember the people that made the sacrifices, that fought for our country. Veterans are the quiet guardians of our freedom, the ones who have answered the call to protect and serve. And you know what? I'm now calling on you to protect and serve. Their courage goes beyond the battlefield. It's the selfless devotion to a cause greater than themselves. And that's exactly what Lonnie is doing. This is a cause greater than himself. The veterans stand as a symbol of resilience, sacrifice, unwavering dedication, and those things ensure the liberties that every single one of us take for granted. Veterans don't just defend a country. They defend the values, the dreams, the hopes of every single person living in it. And their service reminds us that freedom is never free. And for that, we owe them our deepest gratitude and respect. So we do things out of the goodness of our own hearts. But I'm telling you this, friends, we owe them. So together we can make a difference. Lonnie, thank you for being here. Again, all of Lonnie's contacts will be in the show notes. You could also contact me directly and I will get you in touch with him. Friends, this is your opportunity, our opportunity to make a difference. And to all the veterans that are listening to today's podcast, I am grateful. We are grateful. Thank you.
I'd like to end with one quick comment.
Go.
Don't just thank a vet, help a vet.
Because at the end of the day, thank yous are good, but underwear is a lot better. Thank yous are good, but money helps. You know, people say money can't buy happiness. It buys a lot of things. It buys everything that makes us happy. It's a commodity that's necessary to survive. And together we can collect this money to pay it forward because they deserve it. So thank you for being here, friends. I love you and I appreciate your time. Together we can make the world a better place.